Genesis 43. Still no food grew in the land of Canaan. Jacob's family had eaten all the grain they had brought from Egypt. So Jacob said to them, "Go to Egypt again, buy a little more grain for us to eat." But Judah said to Jacob, "The governor of that country strongly warned us. He said, 'Bring your brother back with you. If you don't, you will not be allowed to see me. If you will send Benjamin with us, we will go down and buy food for you. But if you refuse to send Benjamin, we will not go. The governor of that country warned us. He said we would not see him if we didn't bring Benjamin with us.'" Jacob, also called Israel, said, "Why did you tell the man you had another brother? You have caused me a lot of trouble." The brothers answered, "He questioned us carefully about ourselves and our family. He asked us, 'Is your father still alive? Do you have another brother?' We just answered his questions. How could we know he would ask us to bring our other brother to him?" Then Judah said to his father Jacob, "Send Benjamin with me. Then we will go at once. Do this, that we, you, and our children may live and not die. I will guarantee you that he will be safe. I will be personally responsible for him. If I don't bring him back to you, you can blame me all my life. If we had not wasted all this time, we could have already made 2 trips." Then their father Jacob said to them, "If it has to be that way, then do this. Take some of the best foods in our land in your packs. Give them to the man as a gift. Some balm, some honey, spices, myrrh, pistachio nuts, and almonds. Take twice as much money with you this time. Take back the money that was returned to you in your sacks last time. Maybe it was a mistake. And take Benjamin with you. Now leave and go to the man. I pray that God all-powerful will cause the governor to be merciful to you. I pray that he will allow Simeon and Benjamin to come back with you. If I am robbed of my children, then I am robbed of them." So the brothers took their gifts. They also took twice as much money as they had taken the first time, and they took Benjamin. They hurried down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. In Egypt, Joseph saw Benjamin with them. Joseph said to the servant in charge of his house, "Bring those men into my house. Kill an animal and prepare a meal. Those men will eat with me today at noon." The servant did as Joseph told him. They brought the men to Joseph's house. The brothers were afraid when they were brought to Joseph's house. They thought, "We were brought here because of the money that was put in our sacks on the first trip. He wants to attack us, make us slaves, and take our donkeys." So the brothers went to the servant in charge of Joseph's house. They spoke to him at the door of the house. They said, "Sir, we came here once before to buy food. While we were going home, we stopped for the night and opened our sacks. Each of us found all his money in his sack. We brought that money with us to give it back to you, and we have brought more money. It is to pay for the food we want to buy this time. We don't know who put that money in our sacks." But the servant answered, "It's all right. Don't be afraid. Your God, the God of your father, must have put the money in your sacks. I got the money you paid me for the grain last time." Then the servant brought Simeon out to them. The servant led the men into Joseph's house. He gave them water and they washed their feet. Then he gave their donkeys food to eat. The men prepared their gift to give to Joseph when he arrived at noon. They had heard they were going to eat with him there. When Joseph came home, the brothers gave him the gift they had brought into the house. Then they bowed down to the ground to him. Joseph asked them how they were doing. He said, "How is your aged father you told me about? Is he still alive?" The brothers answered, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive." And they bowed low before Joseph to show him respect. Then Joseph saw his brother Benjamin, who had the same mother as he. Joseph asked, "Is this your youngest brother you told me about?" Then Joseph said to Benjamin, "God be good to you, my son." Then Joseph hurried off. He had to hold back the tears when he saw his brother Benjamin. So Joseph went into his room and cried there. Then he washed his face and came out. He controlled himself and said, "Serve the meal." So they served Joseph at one table, they served his brothers at another table, and they served the Egyptians who ate with him at another table. This was because Egyptians did not like Hebrews and never ate with them. Joseph's brothers were seated in front of him. They were in order of their ages, from oldest to youngest, and they looked at each other because they were so amazed. Food from Joseph's table was taken to them, but Benjamin was given 5 times more food than the others. Joseph's brothers drank with him until they were very drunk. Mark chapter 13. Jesus was leaving the temple. One of his followers said to him, "Look, teacher, this temple has beautiful buildings with very big stones." Jesus said, "Do you see all these great buildings? Every stone will be thrown to the ground. Not one stone will be left on another." Later, Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives. He was alone with Peter, James, John, and Andrew. They could all see the temple, and they asked Jesus, "Tell us, when will all these things happen? And what will show us that the time has come for them to happen?" Jesus said to them, "Be careful that no one fools you. Many people will come and use my name. They will say, 'I am the one,' and they will fool many. You will hear about wars and stories of wars that are coming. But don't be afraid. These things must happen before the end comes. Nations will fight against other nations. Kingdoms will fight against other kingdoms. There will be times when there is no food for people to eat, and there will be earthquakes in different places. These things are like the first pains when something new is about to be born. You must be careful. People will arrest you and take you to court. They will beat you in their synagogues. You will be forced to stand before kings and governors to tell them about me. This will happen to you because you follow me. But before these things happen, the good news must be told to all people. When you are arrested and judged, don't worry about what you should say. Say the things God gives you to say at that time. It will not really be you speaking. It will be the Holy Spirit. Brothers will turn against their own brothers and give them over to be killed. Fathers will turn against their own children and give them over to be killed. Children will fight against their own parents and cause their parents to be killed. All people will hate you because you follow me. But the person who continues to be strong until the end will be saved. You will see the horrible thing that destroys. You will see this thing standing in the place where it should not be. You who read this should understand what it means. At that time, the people in Judah should run away to the mountains. If a person is on the roof of his house, he must not go down to take anything out of his house. If a person is in the field, he must not go back to get his coat. At that time, it will be hard for women who are pregnant or have nursing babies. Pray that these things will not happen in winter. This is because those days will be full of trouble. There will be more trouble than there has ever been since the beginning, when God made the world. And nothing as bad will ever happen again. God has decided to make that terrible time short. If that time were not made short, then no one would go on living. But God will make that time short to help his special people whom he has chosen. At that time, someone might say to you, "Look, there is the Christ." Or another person might say, "There he is." But don't believe them. False Christs and false prophets will come and perform great wonders and miracles. They will do these things to the people God has chosen. They will do these things to try to fool them, if that is possible. So be careful, for I have warned you about all this before it happens. During the days after this trouble comes, the sun will grow dark and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky and everything in the sky will be changed. Then people will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. The Son of Man will send his angels all around the earth. They will gather his chosen people from every part of the earth. The fig tree teaches us a lesson. When its branches become green and soft, the new leaves begin to grow. Then you know that summer is near. So also, when you see all these things happening, then you will know that the time is near, ready to come. I tell you the truth, all these things will happen while the people of this time are still living. The whole world, earth and sky, will be destroyed, but the words I have said will never be destroyed. No one knows when that day or time will be. The Son and the angels in heaven don't know. Only the Father knows. Be careful, always be ready. You don't know when that time will be. It is like a man who goes on a trip. He leaves his house and lets his servants take care of it. He gives each servant a special job to do. One servant has the work of guarding the door. The man tells his servants always to be watchful. This is what I am now telling you. You must always be ready. You don't know when the owner of the house will come back. He might come in the evening, or at midnight, or in the early morning, or when the sun rises. He might come back quickly. If you are always ready, then he will not find you sleeping. I tell you this, and I say this to everyone. Be ready. Job chapter 9. Then Job answered, Yes, I know that this is true, but how can man be right in the presence of God? A person might want to argue with God, but he could not answer God one time out of 1,000. God's wisdom is deep and his power is great. No one can fight God without being hurt. God moves mountains without anyone knowing it. He turns mountains over when he is angry. God shakes the earth out of its place, and he makes the earth's foundations shake. God commands the sun not to shine. He shuts off the light of the stars. God alone stretches out the skies, and he walks on the waves of the sea. It is God who made the Bear, Orion, and the Pleiades, and the groups of stars in the southern sky. God does wonderful things that people cannot understand. He does so many miracles they cannot be counted. When he passes me, I cannot see him. When he goes by me, I cannot recognize him. If God snatches something away, no one can stop him. No one can say to him, What are you doing? God will not hold back his anger. Even the helpers of the monster, Rahab, lie at God's feet in fear. So how can I argue with God? I cannot find words to argue with him. Even if I was right, I could not answer him. I could only beg God, my judge, for mercy. I might call to him, but even if he answered, I still would not believe he would listen to me. God would crush me with a storm. He would multiply my hurts for no reason. He would not let me catch my breath. He would overwhelm me with misery. When it comes to strength, God is stronger than I. And when it comes to justice, no one can accuse him. Even if I were right, my own mouth would say I was wrong. If I were innocent, my mouth would say I was guilty. I am innocent, but I don't think about myself. I hate my own life. It is all the same. That is why I say God destroys both the innocent and evil people. A whip may bring sudden death, and God will laugh when good people suffer. When God falls into the hands of evil people, God covers the judges' faces so they can't see it. If it is not God who does this, then who is it? My days go by faster than a runner. They fly away without my seeing even a little joy. They glide past like boats made of papyrus plants. My days are like eagles that swoop down on animals they attack. I might say, I will forget my complaint. I will change the look on my face and smile. but I will still dread all my suffering. I know you will hold me guilty. I have already been found guilty. So why should I struggle for no reason? I might wash myself with soap, and I might even wash my hands with strong soap. But you would push me into a dirty pit, and even my clothes would hate me. God is not a man like me, so I cannot answer him. We cannot meet each other in court. I wish there was someone to make peace between us. I wish someone could decide our case. I wish someone could remove God's punishment from me. Then his terror would not frighten me anymore. Then I could speak up without being afraid of God. But I am not able to do that. Romans chapter 13. All of you must obey the government rulers. No one rules unless God has given him the power to rule. And no one rules now without that power from God. So if anyone is against the government, he is really against what God has commanded. And so he brings punishment on himself. Those who do right do not have to fear the rulers, but people who do wrong must fear them. Do you want to be unafraid of the rulers? Then do what is right, and the ruler will praise you. He is God's servant to help you. But if you do wrong, then be afraid. The ruler has the power to punish. He is God's servant to punish those who do wrong. So you must obey the government. You must obey not only because you might be punished, but because you know it is the right thing to do. And this is also why you pay taxes. Rulers are working for God and give their time to their work. Pay everyone then what you owe them. If you owe any kind of tax, pay it. Show respect and honor to them all. Do not owe people anything, but you will always owe love to each other. The person who loves others has obeyed all the law. The law says, you must not be guilty of adultery, you must not murder anyone, you must not steal, you must not want to take your neighbor's things. All these commands and all others are really only one rule. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love never hurts a neighbor. So loving is obeying all the law. I say this because we live in an important time. Yes, it is now time for you to wake up from your sleep. Our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is almost finished. The day is almost here. So we should stop doing things that belong to darkness and take up the weapons used for fighting in the light. Let us live in a right way, as in the daytime. We should not have wild parties or get drunk. There should be no sexual immorality or evil conduct, no fighting or jealousy. But clothe yourselves with the Lord Jesus Christ. Forget about satisfying your sinful self.